Fiscal Affairs to order. Good afternoon, everyone. First item of business is the approval of our minutes from the meeting on April 8th of this year.
Move it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions, changes, comments? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Minutes approved. We are now going to go out of the Committee on Fiscal Affairs and into the Subcommittee on Investments. With that, we have a performance update with a report from Janet Crone. Where is she? There she is. Chief Investment Officer.
Yeah, we have a pretty full agenda today with an asset allocation review, so I'm going to be very brief. We have results through the end of April. The market value is $210 million as of April 30, and our performance is 5.9% calendar year to date. I think we've added another 50 basis points in May. That's an estimate at this point. And so with that, I'm going to hand it to Cambridge, and Mark Fowler is with us today, and Elizabeth Warren will be speaking to us on hedge funds.
Okay. I'm assuming everybody has the materials that we've produced for this asset allocation review. Nod, stares. On page one, we wanted to, this is something that we do on an annual basis as we take a look at the asset allocation, make sure that we're...
Wait. Which document are we
Which
looking at?
document? Can you hold it up, please? The bigger one.
The bigger one.
We don't have that.
Landscape version.
Yeah, it's on SharePoint.
It's part of the agenda.
No, go ahead. Here.
No, it's okay.
Take it, I'll use this.
No, it's okay.
What's it called?
Okay.
Okay.
So we look at this formally on an annual basis. It doesn't necessarily mean we make changes, but this is a year we want to adjust the asset allocations or make a recommendation to adjust the asset allocation. That's summarized on page one. Basically, with a fixed income yielding negative real returns, so when we put this together, the yield on a government credit index was about 1.5%. Yields have ticked up a little bit in May, so we're still talking about 2% for a bond return. If you're assuming inflation's around 2.5%, which has been the historical rate of inflation, and you're spending 4.5%, it's hard to meet your return objectives and increase or maintain the purchasing power having a significant amount of assets invested in something that's generating negative real returns. So in order to improve the chances of generating an attractive return, what we're recommending is reducing bonds by 5% and reallocating that capital to two categories. One is emerging markets equity, and the other is hedge funds. And you can see that the recommendation is to increase emerging markets by 2%, so bring that up to 10, and hedge funds another 3% to bring it up to 13. The reason we're recommending these two categories, one with emerging markets, we think that provides some long-term growth, and you're getting at a discount to what you can purchase in the developed markets. So emerging markets are selling at a significant discount to the developed markets. On the hedge fund side, what we're trying to do is generate an equity-like return, but provide some protection in case some of these macro concerns that we've listed in this report cause the markets to sell off a bit. So we think this is a way to try and reduce bonds while balancing the risk profile, not going too far out on the risk spectrum. That's a quick summary. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
No, makes
No?
sense.
Would you like me to talk about this implementation recommendations? Do you want me to go into more detail about?
Let me just ask one question. Does anybody have a concern at all about the hedge funds going up from 10 to 13?
It's an insignificant amount, it's not much.
Okay. None? I mean, I think for the most part, the changes are well, anything at this dollar level could be significant. It's not that significant in the scheme of things. So that, I think that the changes here, while minor, they're not that great. Not sure how much of a discussion we need to have.
Okay. And our view is, you can't time the markets. We don't want to make huge
Right.
changes like getting out of bonds or anything. So this is a way to add incremental value is the goal while maintaining a similar risk profile.
What is the implementation period to reduce fixed income by 5 and raise these other two?
It will probably take a little bit of time to get fully there. There are some things that we can do right away. On the emerging market side, we have a manager recommendation today. On the hedge fund side, it's something that we still need to work through with Janet. It's probably going to involve a combination of maybe adding 1 or 2 hedge fund managers and topping off some of the existing managers that you
Okay.
have.
So you'll be back with the recommendations at future meetings?
On the hedge fund side,
Right,
yes.
right. Okay. Well, then let's go into the recommendations on the emerging market.
Okay. Now we're on to page 15.
Mark, excuse me, I just want to point out, we're not in executive session at this point. So, I know at some point when we talk about the actual manager, we're going to need to go into executive session for the emerging markets.
Okay, would this be appropriate time? This is a manager that has limited capacity left, so we'd prefer to have this one in executive session.
Okay?
If that's okay?
I'll move to go into executive session. Second, it's been seconded. We're in. No cameras.
No?
Two action items. Action item B is a resolution requesting the Board of Trustees approve an amendment to the university's investment policy adopted in June of 2012, revising the asset allocation as follows. The target asset allocation for emerging market equity is changed from 8% to 10%. The target asset allocation for hedge funds is changed from 10% to 13%, and the target asset allocation for fixed income is changed from 20% down to 15%. The Subcommittee on Investment has reviewed and both approved the proposed amended investment policies. Well, that's the resolution, the subcommittee at this point. So let me propose that these changes go forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, discussion? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Second item is, item C, is a resolution requesting that the Board of Trustees of the University authorize General Counsel to execute a contract on behalf of the Office of University Controller to purchase investment consultant services from Cambridge Associates LLC or an affiliated entity, we'll generically call it Cambridge, without competitive solicitation and pursuant to law and university regulations. The term of the contract shall be for up to 5 years. The annual fees payable to Cambridge shall be the greater of $200,000 and an amount based on the percentage of the value of the university assets as to which Cambridge provides investment advice. The estimated cost of the services for the first year of the contract is $420,000, chargeable to earned investment income from the investment pool. Cambridge has provided investment consultant services to the university since 2008 under a contract that was awarded on the basis of best value pursuant to public request for proposal solicitations. Cambridge has worked closely with the university management and staff since that time and has provided valuable services and advice to the university. Cambridge's current contract expires on July 1st, 2013, and the recommendation of the resolution is that services be continued in the best interest of the university. I will move that resolution. Do I have a second? The item has been seconded. Any questions, comments? There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you. We're now going out of the subcommittee on investments and into the Committee on Fiscal Affairs. Just a note, earlier when I approved the minutes from the April 8th meeting, I mentioned it was for the Fiscal Affairs Committee. We didn't approve the minutes for the subcommittee on April 8th, so we can do it in reverse order. Anyway, I put them forward. No second?
Second.
Questions, comments, edits to them? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Action items. Do you want to lead us through with the action items that we
Sure.
have? Because we have a whole bunch of them.
We have a long list this evening. The first item is approval of academic excellence fees in our graduate nursing programs. And our graduate nursing programs exist currently at 3 campuses: Hunter, College Staten Island, and Lehman College. And I know we have the president of Hunter College, Jennifer Rabb, and the president of Lehman, Ricardo Fernandez, and the president of College Staten Island, Bill Fritz, all here with us today. We have introduced academic excellence fees at Baruch College. We did that last year for their master's programs. At our last meeting, we introduced academic excellence fees for one master's program at Hunter and a post-baccalaureate certificate program at Hunter also. For graduate nursing programs, the cost of nursing programs has continued to go up. All of the dollars that would be generated by this fee, which would be $500 a semester, would be poured back into the programs at the campuses, into the graduate nursing programs at the campuses. All the presidents that are here for the 3 campuses have done consultations on their campus and have agreement to go forward with the fee. So if there's anything that any of you want to add?
I just appreciate this surprising for all of us that we need the investment. Nursing is more important than ever now that affordable care is being passed. We need more nurses, we need better trained nurses, and all of CUNY wants to make sure we're training them in the top standards, and we need this to be able to make this investment.
Are there any questions or comments? I'll read the resolution requesting that the board of the university approve the adoption of the schedule of academic excellence fees for graduate students in the Hunter Bellevue School of Nursing Program, the College of Staten Island Nursing Program, and the Lehman College Nursing Program, effective with the fall 2013 semester as follows. Resident full-time students, $500 per semester. Resident part-time students, $50 per credit. Non-resident students, $90 per credit. The remainder is all information that was provided. So with that resolution, I will move it. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in, questions or anything? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Okay. The next item has to do with our veteran student population. The Federal Veterans Administration made a change in the last year. Prior to this change, veteran students were reimbursed for their tuition by the federal VA at the in-state tuition rate. With this change, the VA is now only they were reimbursed at the out-of-state rate if they were non-resident students in that state. With this change, the VA is now only reimbursing at the in-state rate. And so all of the students at CUNY who do not live in New York State now have to pay the difference between the in-state rate and the out-of-state rate, which is about $8,000 per year for an undergraduate student. And so what we're proposing in this resolution is to give students, these out-of-state veteran students, 18 months in which they will be charged the in-state rate, even if they're out-of-state students, and within those 18 months, they would have to establish residency in New York State. The reason we're asking for 18 months and not 12 months is because in order to pay the in-state rate, you have to establish residency in New York for at least 12 months. So by doing 18 months, students beginning in the fall semester will have enough time to establish residency in New York State. So we think that not only is this the right thing to do for our veteran population who have served our country and deserve our support, but secondly, it also is an incentive for these students to establish residency and move into New York State.
This is a real cost to us, so this is a positive action that we're taking to support veterans. It's not just reducing tuition. We've got to actually absorb the differential.
Right, it's revenue foregone. This past year, there was about 160 non-resident veteran students at our campuses.
You're on this
So what does that
So
convert?
total was about $1.2 million. Mm-hmm. If you assume that it's about $8,000 difference between the in-state rate and the out-of-state rate. It's about $1.2 million in foregone revenue.
You're on the as a committee, we should have got it.
I think this is a great resolution because actually you guys, this resolution just anticipated what we actually passed in the Student Senate like a month ago. We actually passed a resolution supporting the veterans to be able to get in tuition because we attended the Student Assembly Conference in Albany where the CUNY student actually passed the same resolution requesting the veterans to get the in-state tuition. So this is definitely a great thing. It's going to support the veterans.
Most of the 160 out-of-state, they're probably Jersey, I would imagine, for the most part.
Most of them in New Jersey.
Right.
Yes.
And I think the number we have, I think we were just talking about total amount of veterans within the university system is about 8,000?
I believe that's the number, but we'll
Amazing.
check. Yeah.
Great. Yes, sir.
In further response to Terry's question, we're going to look into whether there are political or legal ways to encourage the federal government to return to its prior policy.
Good luck.
That was going to be my question.
Okay.
But it's the least we can do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Agreed.
Any other further questions? I'll read the resolution requesting that the Board of Trustees of the university approve that veterans who are not New York State residents be charged the same tuition rate as residents for a period of 18 months from the first date of attendance at a CUNY college. The university is committed to providing higher education to a significant number of veterans who have served this country and to be providing necessary services to support their academic success. This policy provides for veterans to be charged the in-state rate for the first 18 months of their attendance. If the veteran does not establish residency after 18 months, he or she will no longer be entitled to pay the resident tuition rate. For purposes of this policy, a veteran is defined as an individual who was in active service, military service, including basic training, and was released under a condition other than dishonorable. I'll move this motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any questions?
Is this a national policy of the VA?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could we amend our resolution to exhort return to the past?
We can, and when we go to the full board, we'll include that language in there. If we can change it, that's a very good idea. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Okay, item D is the acceptance of a $1 million gift from a group called the SC Group, which is a private foundation. One of their items that they focus on is the environment, and I want to recognize our Deputy Chief Operating Officer, Ron Spalter, and our University Director for Sustainability, Tria Case, who I know both here tonight, for being able to garner this gift for the university, this $1 million. And what the plan is for use of this $1 million is to use it as a revolving fund with our campuses. And Ron and Tria have already done tremendous amount of work in working with our campuses to develop ideas and initiatives to make the campuses more sustainable, more green, use these dollars to make those investments so that campuses can do the things they need to do, and thereby result in energy savings on the campuses, which would then be poured back into this revolving fund. And so we're really excited about this. It's part of the whole sustainability initiative that we have at the university, and it's been successful so far, especially at our senior colleges. And so this resolution is to accept the $1 million gift into the university's treasury for use in the revolving fund at our campuses.
Any questions, comments? Again, I'll read the resolution requesting that the board of the university accept the gift of $1 million from SC Group to establish a revolving loan fund to support green programs. I'll move the motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I have a conflict. I'm going to pass the baton over to the vice chair. Peter, it's all yours. Not a conflict with the next resolution, just a conflict with my life.
You're conflicted with your life.
Who wins?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item, item E, is approval of the revised university tuition and fee manual. And I think a lot of you might be saying, why are you coming to us with approval of a manual? Well, when the original tuition and fee manual was adopted more than 20 years ago, it was approved by this committee and by the full board. And so we want to make changes to the manual, so we have to bring it back. But more importantly than the process, we wanted you to be aware that the manual, number one, exists. Number two, the work that we've done to try to improve the manual for our students and parents and the staff at our colleges. And number three is we are proposing some fee changes as a result of the work that we've done in this manual. And again, I want to recognize our acting university controller, Miriam Kladowitz, and our university treasurer, Bill Fox, who's here, for the work that they've done over many, many months to revise the manual. And so to make this easier, and so we don't have to go through the entire manual, we have this small PowerPoint presentation that I want to just take a couple of minutes to go through.
I thought you'd read the whole thing into the record first.
Okay, so very quickly, on page 2, what is the tuition and fee manual? Well, again, as I said earlier, it's a compilation of all of the university policies, all of the policies that have been approved by the board when it relates to charging of tuition, the collection of revenue, and the depositing and waiving of tuition and fees. So why did we decide to update the manual? Well, number one is it hadn't been updated in over 20 years. It was a very clunky type of manual for especially our students to go through. And so we know we needed a comprehensive review. There's also some new legislation that's been passed. And also, we wanted to take advantage of new technology to make this a very user-friendly type version of the manual.
Does it exist?
Excuse me?
Does it now exist?
It now exists, yes.
Is it available?
It's on CUNY's website. It's a very, as I said, clunky type of document. We've tried to improve it over the years.
It's between 200 and 300 pages.
No, I think the question, does the new one exist?
The new one.
The new one was.
That's what that was, yes.
Yeah, it was.
If I wasn't clear, does the new one exist?
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
The new one exists, and we're asking for your approval tonight, and then if approved, it'll go to the full
Is
board.
that 200 or 300 pages?
That's a much-
The improved version?
No. The new one will be a much more
This is the
slimmed-down
new-
version.
91 pages, the new one.
Right.
Oh, that's better.
9 pages would be better yet.
We're getting there.
So on page 3 of the PowerPoint, what we changed are all of the relevant board policies that have been updated throughout the years are now included in the new manual. We've tried to clarify the language, again, to make it more user-friendly to our student population. We took this opportunity while we were revising the manual to look at our miscellaneous fee structure and to see where we are compared to other public higher ed institutions and where we are compared to, our local competitors here in the New York City area. And so, again, we'll be going to be proposing some changes to those miscellaneous fees. And again, we changed the format and the style of the manual to make it more modernized. And we did this in a very collaborative process. We included the college bursars, the business managers, the registrars, college librarians for some of the library fees that we're going to talk to you about in a few minutes. And of course, we consulted with the Office of General Counsel and the Office of Internal Audit as well.
Could I just address that for a second? Because I know what a careful and punctilious lawyer Trustee Gribbets is. So my
That's
attorneys,
the only one around.
I understand that.
Well,
You're the one who raised,
exception.
we're filled with punctilious and careful lawyers around this table, but you're the one who.
Just wanted to make sure that
Who
we
asked
all
the
went on
question?
record.
And
Can you spell punctilious?
what I can,
Different than Canadian.
what I can assure you is that we have gone through it, my lawyers have gone through it to make sure that it's consistent with all of the prior policies of the board.
Okay. So on page 4, the proposed fee changes that are included in this action item are listed there. And again, if you look at these, all of these are what would be called either penalty-type fees or fees that create an expense at our campuses. For instance, the duplicate diploma fee. That is a real cost at our campuses. For years, we've been charging $15 to produce a duplicate diploma. There's printing costs and other production-type costs. We looked at a couple of the private colleges here in New York City. They charge $50 for a duplicate diploma. We're proposing to increase it to $30. Again, things like ID cards, costs have gone up over the years. We've never increased the fee from this $5 fee if you lose your ID card to now $10. And so again, it creates a drain on our colleges' operating budgets to have to pay for these things because the revenues from the fee don't cover the costs. The same with the library materials. Again, we consulted with our university librarians to come up with this new fee structure, lab and locker breakage fee, and return check fees. So again, all of these fees, we feel, are in line with what other public higher ed institutions are charging, what other institutions in New York City are charging. And again, all of these are either penalty fees or we're asking to increase them in order to cover the costs associated with these activities. Okay, on page 5, last slide, what are the steps going forward? Well, we're bringing it to the fiscal committee tonight. If it is approved, we'll bring it to the full board later this month. We will then post once it's approved by the full board, we'll post the new document to the CUNY website. We're also working on creating an abridged version for students and parents because we know for sure that students and parents don't want to go through 91 pages and want something that will be very quick, that will give them the answers that they need. And then we'll continue to update the manual as we go along, and any substantive changes, of course, bring back to this committee.
Okay. That said, let me read the resolution.
I don't want to appear to be trite.
Sure.
But we can demonstrate that these changes of fees are related to costs to us.
Yes.
I see that the equipment fee is a new fee. I'm not really clear what kind of equipment we're talking about. So,
There's equipment that is available in the library.
okay, in the library.
Yep.
For which there is already a fee, correct? Or not?
There is, no, this is a new fee.
okay.
In the library. Yes.
Let me take a moment and read the resolution. The tuition and fee manual is a compilation of all applicable board policies and procedures and university policies related to the charging, collecting, depositing, and waiving of tuition and fees. The university is modernized in over 20 years. The university's tuition and fee manual has not been comprehensively reviewed or modernized in over 20 years, nor has its miscellaneous fee structure. This resolution requests that the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York approve the university's revised version and authorize the Chancery to revise the manual as may be necessary and appropriate in the future. The manual also serves as the university's policy statement regarding tuition and fee matters. This resolution also requests that the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York approve the increase in several miscellaneous fees for any semester or session commencing with the fall 2013 semester to defray costs associated with these activities. A listing of these fees is included in the resolution. May I have a motion, please?
So move.
Second? Any discussion?
I just have one comment. This looks like a lot of work went into this, so I want to congratulate the author or authors and just make one small recommendation, given that so much work and it'll probably be another 20 years, that the final review be done with an eye towards plain language, if it will go up and live on the web. So it's as sort of clear and straightforward, and obviously the abridged version will be even more so.
That's an excellent suggestion. Would have been a good idea for the resolution as well.
I know, we got the abbreviated.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's carried.
Okay. The next item is the approval for an increase in the technology fee. The current technology fee is $100 per semester for full-time students and $50 per semester for part-time students. The costs for technology have continued to increase over the last several years. The last time we've increased the technology fee was 2008. And the technology fee has been one of the most successful initiatives that we've had at the university over the last 10 or a dozen years. All of the revenues from the technology fee are kept at the campuses, and the campuses have committees that include the students that determine how those revenues are going to be used, and they're used to improve the technology at the campuses. And so it has a direct benefit to our student body. However, as I said earlier, costs have increased, and so we need to keep up with the cost of technology and increase the fee. What we're proposing tonight is an increase in the fee from $100 a semester for full-time students to $125 a semester, and for part-time students from $50 a semester to $62.50 a semester. I want to point out that what we're proposing here is that this fee will begin in the spring 2014, because we know that students have already begun to register and to pay for their fall tuition bill, and we don't want to have students have to go back and pay more. But the other thing that I want to point out is that we are proposing this fee for the senior colleges to begin in spring 2014, but not to begin at the community colleges until fall 2015. And so there will be 2 academic years in which the technology fee at the community colleges will remain the same that it is now. The reason that we're doing so is a few reasons. One is the state has increased the base aid to community colleges for 2 years in a row now, so there is additional revenue at the community colleges that's not there at the senior colleges. The tuition increases, the $300 increases that have been approved by the board, are proportionally higher for the community colleges than they are for the senior colleges, since the community college tuition rate is lower, thereby, again, generating additional revenues that don't exist at the senior colleges. And the other reason is because we know our community college students face some challenges that are different from our senior college students, and we want to be mindful of that as well. And so what we're asking for is an increase in the fee that will be effective at the senior colleges beginning in spring 2014 and won't be effective at the community colleges until the fall 2015.
Okay, I will read the resolution. This is a resolution requesting that the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York approve an increase to the technology fee from $100 to $125 per semester for full-time students and from $50 to $62.50 per semester for part-time students, and to approve the use of the technology fee for enterprise academic and administrative computing services. This increase will be effective at senior colleges beginning with the spring 2014 semester. As a result of additional state support provided to community colleges for fiscal year 2013 and 2014, and considering the tuition increase effective for fall 2013, the technology fee increase will not be implemented at the community colleges for academic years 2013, 2014, and 2014-2015, but will be effective beginning in the fall of 2015. I move this to have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
A question, when the resolution and to approve the use of the technology fee for enterprise academic and administrative computing services, I agree with you that this is one of the more effective programs that we have here, and it has ensured that the students have excellent technology available to them across a range of applications. I wonder if it would be possible for your operation to just audit this from time to time, because I do have a concern that maybe money, the proportion going one way or the other sometimes gets shifted around, so I'd like to be able to know independently that the majority of the money is in fact going for technological improvements directly related to student academic performance, admittedly broadly defined, but you know, some external check on what happens to the money.
No, that's a very good point, and we've been reporting on the expenditure of the technology for the last couple of years to the colleges. Because as you point out, we want to make sure that the colleges are spending the dollars in the year that it's earned, so that the students get the benefit of it. But we will certainly continue to do that and accelerate our efforts in terms of auditing it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, necessarily, I don't have any problem with the increase itself because I know with the technology area, the cost of the technology just have been increasing. But some of the concern I mainly have is because at some school, I spoke to some students who are always complaining that they are not included in the technology fee committees that actually allocate this fund into those expenses. So I just want to make sure that the board look into that to make sure that every time those committees meet at those schools, they have at least one student rep sitting on the committee, making their voice heard, as opposed to no student at all. So that's
Any circumstances you hear like that, let me know, please.
okay.
And we're going to
promise I'll
discuss this
follow
with the presidents at the next council of presidents meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I was concerned. I mean, I think that the way the resolution is written, it seems to be sensitive, but I was just wondering how this would affect the students, and I just think that we need to be, the fact that we already spoke to the presidents is good, and maybe we could ask somebody to follow up with the presidents to see if they have executed the involvement factors. So I don't know who would do that, but, maybe you'll be able to audit that or something.
We can do that, but in the spirit of belt and suspenders, anything you hear, you let me know.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, the motion is called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries.
Okay, the next item is for the services that are provided for our consolidated financial statements. For the last several years, KPMG has been our external auditors, and the contract that we currently have in place with them is expiring. And so what we'd like to do is ask for a one-year extension to that contract so that KPMG can conduct the external audit for the current fiscal year, for fiscal year 13. And what we'd like to do concurrently as that is happening is to issue an RFP for auditing services that other firms can apply for those external services going forward.
It's actually issued.
The RFP's already been issued. Thank you, Miriam. So this is to extend KPMG's contract for not to exceed an annual cost of $815,000, which is in line with what we've been paying for the last several years.
No problem with the concept. Typically, traditionally, this would come up through the audit committee, and it would be an audit committee charge, not a committee at this level. But
No, and it's a great point, and we had talked about that internally. Unfortunately, we had a timing issue in terms of when the next audit committee meeting meant, but I agree, this normally would be something we'd bring to the subcommittee on audit.
Before I actually read the resolution, I will be abstaining due to my law firm represents virtually all these accounting firms, and it's just easier to abstain. The financial audit services provided by KPMG LLP support CUNY's statutory requirement to produce consolidated university financial statements each fiscal year. This resolution is requesting that the Board of Trustees approve a one-year extension that will ensure continuity of services as CUNY completes the public solicitation process for audit and tax services for fiscal year 2014 and fiscal year 2018. The cost of the additional year of services shall not exceed a total estimated cost of $815,000. Someone move this, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And one abstention. Carries.
Okay, the remaining items are all items that we have discussed at the Subcommittee on Investment. Two items that we discussed at this evening's Subcommittee on Investment, and then three items from last month's meeting. And so the first two items are items that Subcommittee on Investment has approved. We need the full fiscal committee to approve them. The asset allocation to increase the allocation to both hedge funds and emerging markets, and then approval of Cambridge Associates contract.
Move it.
Let me give you the resolution first.
I-
But your enthusiasm is noted and appreciated. I would now like to introduce items H, J, K, and L together, since they are all resolutions pertaining to amendments to the university's investment policy that have been both reviewed and approved by the Subcommittee on Investment. Item H revises the asset allocation. Item J confirms a 4.5% appropriation for the funds in the portfolio for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2014. Item K amends the policy to permit the Committee on Fiscal Affairs and its Subcommittee on Investments to delegate authority to the Senior Vice Chancellor of Budget, Finance, and Fiscal Policy as it relates to the current policy concerning decisions to make marketable and non-marketable alternative investments as circumstances warrant. And item L revises the spending policy to permit a more efficient process of implementing policy, as well as to further clarify the policy and items of compliance, which I'm sure this is an acronym, but NYPMIFA, and best practices in accounting. Item I is a resolution requesting the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York to authorize the General Counsel to execute a contract on behalf of the Office of the University Controller to purchase investment consultant services from Cambridge Associates LLC or an affiliated entity, Cambridge, without competitive solicitation and pursuant to law and university regulations and advice to the university and its investment pool. Cambridge's current contract expires on July 1, 2013, and the services are being continued in the best interest of the university. I'll move that. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Whoa, question, sorry.
Sorry, questions or discussion?
On item L, spending policy. Point 2, last line, last clause, and is not carried over to future years. So if I request $100,000 from the spending pool, it's within my allocation of the spending pool.
Right.
And I spend 90, the 10 goes back to my share in the pool. I can't roll the 10 forward.
That's correct, yes.
And that's what we want.
Spend it or lose it.
Spend it, or, well, I mean, that's the point. I mean, with that kind of environment, you're gonna spend it.
She's going to
Well, it was intended to.
stay for the vote. Just for the vote.
As long as we're clear.
Sorry. Okay, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none? Carries. That's it for the action items. We have an information item, which is the report of the 2013-2014 City Executive Budget. And again, we go back to the star of today's show for his report.
Thank you, Chair Panello. This will be very brief. I just wanted to update everyone on the city executive budget, which the mayor issued about a month ago, but we haven't met since then. The city executive budget maintains the effort for our community colleges, which is a good thing. In many years past, the executive budget would fall short of the community colleges' maintenance of effort, and we'd have to lobby with the city council to bring us back to at least the maintenance of effort level. And so the fact that we're at maintenance of effort in the executive budget is a really positive thing. In addition, the executive budget also recognized the revenue from our fall tuition increase, which is $23 million. And so again, as we said earlier when we were doing the resolution on the technology fee, with the additional tuition revenue, with the additional state aid that's coming in for our community colleges, we should have a very stable environment for our community colleges going forward and be able to make some additional investments. In terms of what's not in the executive budget, there's one item that I wanted to mention specifically, and that is the blackmail initiative. Last year at adoption, we were under the impression that there was an agreement made between the council and the Office of Management and Budget that the blackmail initiative would be funded in CUNY's baseline budget, which means the funding would be in there permanently. However, in the executive budget, that is not the case. Funding for Black Mill Initiative is not in there for next year. It's not in there in the future years. So we have some concern about that. We are confident that the council will put those funds back for at least next year. But again, it's our goal to make sure that the funds are put in permanently, because this has been such a terrific program for the university and one that we fully support. And so that's something that we've been talking with both the council and the mayor's office and the Office of Management and Budget about. The items that the council normally puts in for items like centers and institutes, some of the other council member items are again not in the mayor's executive budget. We didn't expect them to be. Those are items that the council normally puts in every year, and we again have the expectation that they will do so again this year. And so, again, just to repeat, we have a very stable condition for our community colleges. We're hoping that the council will be able to be helpful on the Black Mill Initiative. And we're hoping that the budget will be adopted shortly. Once it is, we'll allocate the dollars to the community colleges.
First, I'd like to thank,
You had a question?
oh, sorry.
Question. Could you describe the Blackmail Initiative, and could you tell me how much is involved?
Sure. The total is for the current year is $2.25 million. That number has grown a little bit since we first started the program, which was, I believe, in fiscal year 2006. But the Blackmail Initiative exists on all of our campuses.
What is it?
It started out as an initiative to try to help black males persist.
Black male?
Yes.
Got it.
On our
remember it
campuses. And
I
now,
was thinking of something else.
no, it's not blackmail. We're not trying to blackmail anyone, no. No, it's the Black Male Initiative.
Got it.
When you were too much into
I withdraw my question.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Just want the record to be clear.
Good. I can see why someone would be
And
confused.
irrespective of the question, it's a wonderful initiative.
It is. It's been a great initiative, and, it's been really successful on our campuses, and, again, we're hopeful that funds will be recognized in the city budget on a permanent basis.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, I just want to thank Associate Vice Chancellor Sapienza for helping facilitate this meeting tonight. We had a big agenda, and you helped us get through it. I have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So done.
Thank
Adjourned.
you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Good job.
Peter, well done.
Thanks.